शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करभावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकम् हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्री पार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरु कृष्णं मे सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृते कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടും ഇറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഇതിനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the class. Okay, so we'll first start with, like we said, the review. I think I had sent the list yesterday, so we are starting from Dasakam 3. Just get that list open. Yeah, so Shailaja, you are starting first, right?
Yeah.
We just go through it till 10. I think Priya Narayanan is not here today. Shubha Prasanna probably is not joining, but the rest of you can finish it, and then we'll start with Dasakam 11. Okay. All right, I'll go on mute.
శ్రీకృష్ణ పరబ్రహ్మణే నమః. 3వ దశకము भक्तस्वरूपवर्णनं भक्तप्रार्थना च। पठन्तो नामानि प्रमदभरसिन्धौ विपतिताः स्मरन्तो रूपन्ते वरद कथयन्तो गुणकथाः चरन्तो ये भक्ताः त्वयि खलु रमन्ते परममून् अहं धन्यान् मन्ये समधिगत सर्वाभिलषितान् गदक्लिष्टं कष्टं तव चरण सेवारसभरेऽपि अनासक्तं चित्तं भवति बत विष्णो कुरु दयाम् भवत्पादाम्भोजस्मरणरसिको नाम निवहान् अहङ्गायं कुहचन विवत्स्वामि विजने कृपाते जाता चेत् किमिव न हि लभ्यन्तनुभृतां मदीयक्लेशौघप्रशमनदशा नाम कीयती न के लोकेऽस्मिन् अनिशमयि शोकाभिरहिताः भवद्भक्ता मुक्ताः सुखगतिमसक्ता विदधते मुनिप्रौढारूढा मुनिप्रौढारूढाः जगति खलु गूढात्मगतयो भवत्पादाम्भोजस्मरणविरुजो नारदमुखाः चरन्तीश स्वैरं सतत परिनिर्भात परचित् सदानन्दाद्वैत प्रसर परिमग्नाः किमपरम् भवद्भक्तिस्फीता भवतु मम सैव प्रशमयेत् अशेषक्लेशौघं न खलु हृदि सन्देहकणिका न चेद्व्यासस्योक्तिः तव च वचनं नैगमवचो भवेन्मिथ्यारथ्या पुरुषवचनप्रायमखिलम् भवद्भक्तिस्तावत् प्रमुखमधुरा तद्वद्गुणरसात् किमप्यारूढा चेत् अखिल परितापप्रशमनी पुनश्चान्ते स्वान्ते विमल परिबोधोद नियमिलन् महानन्दाद्वैतं दिशति किमतः प्रार्थ्यमपरम् विधूय क्लेशान् मे कुरु चरणयुग्मं धृतरसं भवत्क्षेत्रप्राप्तौ करमपि च ते पूजनविधौ भवन्मूर्त्या लोके नयनम् अथ ते पादतुलसी परिघ्राणे घ्राणं श्रवणमपि ते चारुचरिते प्रभूतादिव्याधिप्रसभचलिते मामकहृदि त्वदीयं तद्रूपं परमरसचिद्रूपमुदीयात् उदञ्च द्रोमाञ्चो गलित बहु हर्षाश्रुनिवहो यथा विस्मध्यासं दुरुपशमपीडा परिभवान् मरुद्गेहाधीश त्वयि खलु पराञ्चोऽपि सुखिनो भवन् स्नेही सोऽहं सुबहु परितप्ये च किमिदम् अकीर्तिस्ते मा भूद् वरद गदभारं प्रशमयन् भवद्भक्तोत्तंसं झटिति कुरु मां कंसदमन किमुक्तैर्भूयोः तव हि करुणा यावदुदीयात् अहं तावद्देव प्रहित विविधार्थ पुरः क्लुप्ते पादे वरद तव नेष्यामि दिवसान् यथाशक्ति व्यक्तं वतिमति निषेवा विरचयन् श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः।
Dasakam 4 Ashtanga Yoga Varnanam and Yoga Siddhi Varnanam. Sri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Kalyatam mama kurushvatavadim kalyate bhavatupasanam yaya spashtamashtavid yoga charyaya pushtaya shutavatushtimapnuyam brahmacharya drudadati biryamaihi आप्लवादिनियमैश्च भाविताः कुर्महे दृढममी सुखासनं पङ्कजाद्यमपि वा भवत्पराः तारमन्तरनुचिन्त्य सन्ततं प्राणवायुमभियम्य निर्मलाः इन्द्रियाणि विषयाददापहृत् यास्महे भवतुपासनोन्मुखाः अस्फुटे वपुषिते प्रयत्नतो तारयेम दिशणां मुहुर्मुहुः तेन भक्तिरसमन्तरात्रता उद्वहेम भवदङ्घ्रिचिन्तकाः विस्फुटावयवभेदसुन्दरं त्वत्त्वभुःसुचिरशीलनावशात् आश्रमं मनसि चिन्तयामहे ध्यानयोगनिरतास्त्वदाश्रयाः ध्यायतां सकलमूर्तिमीदृशीम् उन्मिषन् मधुरता हृदात्मनां सान्द्रमोदरसरूपमान्धरं ब्रह्मरूपमयि देवपासते तत्समास्वदनरूपिणीं स्थितिं त्वत्समाधिमयि विश्वनायक आश्रिताः पुनरतः परिच्युतौ आरभेमहि च धारणादिकम् इत्थमप्यसननिर्भरोल्लसत्वत्परात्मसुखकल्पितोत्सवाः मुक्तभक्तकुलमौलितां गताः सञ्चरेम शुकनारदादिवत् त्वत्समाधिविजये तु यः पुनः मंशुमोक्षरसिकः क्रमेण वा योगवंशम् अनिलं षडाश्रयैः उन्नयत्यजसुषुम्नायाशनैः लिङ्गतेऽहमपि सन्त्यजन्नतो लीयते द्वयि परे निराग्रहः ऊर्ध्वलोककुतुकीतुमूर्तः सार्धमेव करणैर्निरीयते अग्निवासरवलक्षपक्षकैः उत्तरायणजुषा च दैवतैः प्रापितो रविपदं भवत्परो मोदवान् ध्रुवपदान्तमीयते आस्तितोतमहरालये यथा शेषवक्त्र दहनोष्मनार्द्यते ईयते भवतु भाश्रयस्तथा वेदसत्पदमतः पुरैव वा तत्र वा तव पदे तवा वसन् प्राकृतः प्रलययेति मुक्ततां स्वच्छया खलु पुरा विमुच्यते संविभित्य जगदण्डमोजसा तस्य चक्षुतिपयो महो निलयत्यो महत्प्रकृति सप्तकावृतिः तत्तदात्मगदया विशन् सुखी यादिते पदमनावृतं विभो अर्चरादिगतमीदृशीं व्रजन् विच्युतिं न भजते जगत्पते सच्चिदात्मक भवद्गुणोदयान् उच्चरन्तमनिलेश पाहि मां। श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः।
I think Priya is not here today for 5, so I think 6. I think Harini, you can.
So we can skip 5. We can start with 6, right?
Yeah, start with 6. Yeah, I think Harini is doing first, and then Lalita, you do it after it.
Okay. विराट देहस्य जगता तत्त्ववर्णनम् एवं 14 जगन्मयतां गतस्य पातालमीश तव पादतलं वदन्ति पादोर्ध्वदेशमपि देवरसातलं ते गुल्फद्वयं खलु महातलमद्भुतात्मन् जङ्गे तलातलमतो सुतलं च जानु किञ्चोरुभागयुगलं वितलातले द्वे क्षोणीतलं जगनमम्बरमङ्गनाभिः वक्षश्च शक्रनिलयस्तव चक्रपाणे ग्रीवामहस्तव मुखं च जनस्तपस्तु फालं शिरस्तव समस्तमयस्य सत्यम् एवं जगन्मयतनो जगदाश्रितैरप्यन्यैर्निर्बद्धवपुषे भगवन् नमस्ते त्वद्ब्रह्मरन्ध्रपदमीश्वर विश्वकन्दा चन्दांसि केशव घनास्तव केशपाशाः उल्लासि चिल्लियुगलं द्रिहिणस्य गेहं पक्ष्माणि रात्रिदिवसौ सविता च नेत्रे निःशेष विश्वरचना च कटाक्षमोक्षः कर्णो दिशोऽश्वियुगलं तव नासिके द्वे लोभत्रपे च भगवन्नधरोत्तरोष्टौ तारागणाश्च शमनश्च दंष्ट्रा मायाविलासहसितं श्वसितं समीरो जिह्वाजलं वचनमीश शकुन्तपङ्क्तिः सिद्धादयस्वरगणा मुखरन्ध्रमग्निः देवाबुजास्तनयुगं तव धर्मदेवः पृष्टं त्वधर्म इह देव मनस्सुधांशु अव्यक्तमेव हृदयाम्बुजमम्बुजाक्ष कुक्षिः समुद्रनिवहावसनं तु सन्ध्ये शेफः प्रजापतिरसौ वृषणौ च मित्रः श्रोणीस्थलं मृगगणाः पदयोर्नखास्ते हस्त्युष्टसैन्धवमुखाः गमनं तु कालः विप्रादिवर्णभवनं वदनाब्जबाहु चारूरुयुग्मचरणं करुणाम्बुदेते संसारचक्रमयि चक्रधरक्रियास्ते वीर्यं महासुरगणोऽस्ति कुलानि शैलाः नाड्यत्सरित्समुदयस्तरवक्षरोमा जीयादिदं वपुरनिर्वचनीयमीश ईदृग्जगन्मय वपुस्तव कर्म भाजां कर्मावसानसमये स्मरणीयमाहुः तस्यान्तरात्मवपुषे विमलात्मने ते पातालयाधिपं नमोऽस्तु निरुन्दिरोगान् श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः।
एवं चतुर्दश जगन्मयतां गतस्य पातालमीश तव पादतलं वदन्ति पादोद्ध्वतेशमपि देवरसातलं ते कुल्पद्वयं खलु महातलमद्भुतात्मन् जङ्घे तलातलमथो सुतलं च जानु किञ्चोरुभागयुगलं वितलातले द्वे क्षोणीतलं झगनमम्बरमङ्गनाभिः वक्षस्थचक्रनिलयस्तव चक्रपाणे ग्रीवामहस्तव मुखं च जनस्तपस्तु फालं शिरस्तव समस्तमयस्तसत्यम् एवं जगन्मयतनो जगदाश्रितैरपि अन्यैर्निबद्धवपुषे भगवन्नमस्ते त्वद्ब्रह्ममन्ध्र पदमीश्वर विश्वगन्ध छन्दांसि केशव घनास्तव केशपाशाः उल्लासि चिल्लियुगलं द्रिहिणस्य गेहं पक्ष्माणि रात्रिदिवसौ सविता च नेत्रे निःशेष विश्वरचना च कटाक्षमोक्षः कर्णौ दिशोऽश्वियुगलं तव नासिके द्वे लोभद्रपे च भगवन्नदरोत्तरोष्ठौ तारागणाश्च दशनाः शमनश्च दंष्ट्रा मायाविलासहसितं श्वसितं समीरो जिह्वाजलं वचनमीश शकुन्तपङ्क्तिः सिद्धादयस्वरगणा मुखरन्ध्रमग्निः देवाभुजास्थनयुगं तव धर्मदेवः पृष्ठं त्वधर्म इह देव मनस्सुधांशुः अव्यक्तमेव हृदयाम्बुजमम्बुजाक्ष कुक्षिस्तमुद्रनिवहावसनं तु सन्ध्ये शेफः प्रजापतिरसौ वृषणौ च मित्रः श्रोणीस्थलं मृगगणाः पदयोर्नखास्ते हस्त्युष्टसैन्धवमुखा गमनं तु कालः विप्रादिवर्णभवनं वदनब्जबाहु चारूरुयुग्मचरणं करुणाम्बुधेते संसारचक्रमयि चक्रधरक्रियास्ते वीर्यं महासुरगणोऽस्ति कुलानि शैलाः नाड्यः सरित्समुदयस्तरवश्च रोम जीयादितं वपुरनिर्वचनीयमीश ईदृग्जगन्मय वपुस्तव कर्मभाजां कर्मावसानसमये स्मरणीयमाहुः तस्यान्तरात्मवपुषे विमलात्मने ते वातालयाधिप नमोऽस्तु निरुन्धिरोगान् इति श्रीमन्नारायणीयष्टकं दशकं समाप्तम्.
full படிக்கணுமா அந்த ஹெட்டிங்லாம்?
No, you don't have to. You can just start.
एवं देव चतुर्दशात्मक जगत् रूपेण जातः पुनः तस्योर्ध्वं खलु सत्यलोकनिलये जातोऽसि धाता स्वयं यं शंसन्ति हिरण्यगर्भमखिल त्रैलोक्यजीवात्मकम् यो भूत्स्फीतरजो विकार विकसन्नानासिसृक्षारसः सोऽयं विश्वविसर्गदत्त हृदयः सम्पश्यमान स्वयं बोधं कल्वनवाप्य विश्वविषयं चिन्ताकुलस्तस्थिवान् तावत्त्वं जगतां पते तपतपेत् एवं हि वैहायसीं वाणी मे नमशिश्वरः परश्रुतिसुखां कुर्वंस्तप्रेरणां कोऽसौ मा वदत् पुमानिधि जलापूर्णे जगन्मण्डले दिक्षुद्वीक्ष्य किमप्यनीक्षितवता वाक्यार्थमुत्पश्यता दिव्यं वर्षसहस्रमात्त तपसा तेन त्वमाराधितः तस्मै दर्शितवानसि स्वनिलयं वैकुण्ठमेघाद्भुतं माया यत्र कदापि नो विकुरुते भात्ते जगद्भ्योपहिः योगक्रोधविमोहसाध्व समुखा भावास्तु दूरं कथाः सान्द्रानन्दझरी च यत्र परमज्योतिः प्रकाशात्मके तत्ते धाम विभावितं विजयते वैकुण्ठरूपं विभो यस्मिन्नाम चतुर्भुजाः हरिमणिश्यामावधात्विचो नानाभूषणरत्नदीपिदधिशो राजद्विमानालयाः भक्तिप्राप्ततावितोन्नतपदाः जीव्यन्ति दिव्या जनाः तत्ते धाम निरस्तर सर्वशमलं वैकुण्ठरूपं जयेत् नानादिव्यवधूजनैरभिवृता विद्युल्लतातुल्लया विश्वोन्मादनहृद्यगात्रलत्तया विद्योतिता शान्दरा त्वत्पादाम्बुज सौरभैककुतुकात् लक्ष्मी स्वयं लक्ष्यते यस्मिन् विस्मयनीय दिव्य विभवं तत्ते पदं देहि मे तत्रैवं प्रतिदर्शिते निजपदे रत्नासनाध्यासितं भास्वत्कोटिलसत्किरीटकटकात् या कल्पदी प्राकृति श्रीवत्साङ्गितमातकौस्तुभमणिच्छायारुणं कारणं विश्वेषां तव रूपमैक्षत विधिः तत्ते विभो भातु मे कालाम्भोदकलाय कोमलरुचि चक्रेण चक्रं दिशाम् आवृण्वाणमुदारमन्द हसितस्यन्तः यन्तः प्रसन्नाननं राजत्कम्भुकतारिपङ्कजतर श्रीमद्भुजामण्डलम् स्रष्टुष्टुष्टिकरं वपुस्तव विभो मद्रोगमुद्वासयेत् दृष्ट्वा भ्रमः कमलभूः त्वत्पादपाथोरुहे हर्षावेशवशं वदो निबतितः प्रीत्या कृतार्थी भवन् जानास्येव मनीषितं मम विभो ज्ञानं तदा पादय द्वैताद्वैत भवत्स्वरूप परमित्याचष्टतं त्वां भजे आताम्रे चरणे विनम्रमथतं हस्तेन हस्ते स्पृशन् बोधस्ते भविता न सर्गविधिभिः बन्धोभिः सञ्जायते इत्याभाष्य किरं प्रतोष्य नितरां तच्चित्तगूढस्वयं सृष्टौ तं समुदैरयः स भगवन् उल्लासयोलाघतां श्री कृष्ण परब्रह्मणे नमः।
दशकम् 8 प्रलय वर्णनम जगत् सृष्टि प्रकार वर्णनम च एवं तावत् प्राकृत प्रक्षयान्ते ब्राह्मे कल्पे हातिमे लप्त जन्म ब्रह्मा भूयस्त्वत्त एवाप्यवेदान् सृष्टिं चक्रे पूर्वकल्पोपमानाम् सोऽयं चतुर्मुख सहस्रमिदान्यहानि तावन्मिदाश्च रजनीर् बहुश्रविनिनाय निद्रात्यसौ त्वयि निलीय समं सृष्टैः नैमित्तिक प्रलयम् आहूरदोष्य रात्रिम् अस्मातृषां पुनरहर्मुखकृत्य तुल्यां सृष्टिं करोत्यनुदिनं सभवत्प्रसादात् प्राक्प्रामकल्पजनुषां च परायुषां तु सुप्तप्रबोधनसमास्ति तदापि सृष्टिः पञ्चाशदप्त मधुना स्ववयोर्तरूपम् एकं परार्थम् अधिवृत्य हि वर्तते सौ तत्रात्यरात्रिजनितान् कथयामि भूमन् पश्चात्तिना वदरेण च भवद्विलासान् दिनावसा नेत सरोज योनि शुप्स्ति कामस्त्वयि सन्निलिल्ये जगन्ति च त्वचडरं समियुः तदेतमे कार्णवम् आस विश्वं तवैव वेशे पनिराजिशेषे चलैकशेषे भुवनेश्मशेषे आनन्दसान्द्रानुभवस्वरूपः स्वयोगनिद्रा परिमुत्रितात्मा कालाख्यशक्तिं प्रलयावसाने प्रबोधयेत्यादि शताकिलादौ त्वया प्रसुप्तं परिसुप्त शक्तिव्रजेन तत्राखिल जीवताम्ना चतुर्युगानां च सहस्रमेवं त्वयि प्रसुप्ते पुनरद्वितीये कालाख्यशक्तिप्रथम प्रबुद्धा प्राबोधयत्वं किल विश्वनाथ विभुत्य च त्वं जलगर्भशायिन् विलोक्य लोकान् अखिलान् प्रलीनान् देष्वेव सूक्ष्मात् मदया निजान्तास् स्थितेषु विश्वेषु तदा दृष्टिम् ततस्त्वदीयादयिनाभिरन्दरात् उदञ्जितं किञ्चन दिव्यपद्मं निलीन निःशेष पदार्थममाल संक्षेपरूपं मुकुलायमानं तदेतदम्बोरुहकुट्मलं ते कलेबरात् तोयपदे प्ररूढं बहिर्निरीदं परिदस्फुरद्भिः स्वदामपि त्वान्तमलं न्यक्रन्तत् सम्पुल्लपत्रे निधरां विचित्रे तस्मिन् भवद्वीर्यत्रिदे सरोजे सपत्मजन्मा विधिराविराशीत् स्वयं प्रबुद्धाखिलवेदराशिः अस्मिन् परात्मननुपात्मकल्पे त्वमित्तमुत्थापितपद्मयोनिः अनन्दभूमा मम रासिं निरुन्धे वातालय वास विष्णो श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः
ബ്രഹ്മാവിന്റെ തപസ്സും ലോകസൃഷ്ടിയും ദശകം 9 സ്ഥിതഃ സ കമലോദ്ഭവഃ തവ ഹിനാഭിപങ്കേരുഹേ കുതസ്വിദിതമംബുധൗ ഉദിതമിത്യനാലോകയन् തദീക്ഷണകുതൂഹലാत् പ്രതിദിശം വിവൃത്താനനഃ ചതുർവദനതാമകാत् വികസദഷ്ടദൃष्ट्യംബുജാം മഹാർണവവിഘൂർണിതം कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव तनुं तु नालोकयन् कयेष कमलोदरे महदि निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतस्विदितमम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामगात् अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृतनिश्चयः स खलु नाळरन्ध्राध्वना स्वयोगबलविद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कळेबरं दृष्टवान् ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गको मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव संदृष्टवान् निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रतीः समाधिबलमाधते भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत् प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्ट परितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयं किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयो मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरं कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदयि भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितं श्रुतिप्रकरदर्शित प्रचुरवैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषिदिष्ट्यादृशो कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे भुवननिर्मितौ कर्मठाम् इति द्रुहिणवर्णित स्वगुणभङ्गिमा पाहि मां लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचनदक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे भवत्वखिलसाधनी मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत्युदीर्य गिरमादधाः मुदितचेतसं वेधसं शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम् उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्बलविजृम्भितः पवनपाथसी पीतवान् तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजा निर्मितौ तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वरा त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः.
All right. Is Lalita is not on today, right? Lalita Rajagopalan. Okay, so she's not on. Okay. All right. So I think she was supposed to do 10. All right. Let's go on to 11 then. We'll start. So good job, everyone. So I think we'll do this review kind of every 10 dashakams, right? But you can also do it in parallel. You don't have to wait for the review to happen. So, all right. So let's start with 11. So 11, at least my title, it's a very long title. But like I said, if you just for your reference, I'll say it. If your book doesn't have it, that's okay too. It's Sanakadinam Vaikuntha Pravesha Varnanam. So entry of the Sanakas into Vaikuntha, number 1. Jaya Vijaya Shapa Varnanam. So cursing of Jaya and Vijaya. Hiranyakashipu Hiranyaksha Utpatti Varnanam. So birth of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Those are the 3 topics which are going to be covered here. Okay, all right. First, so maybe Lalita, Murali, you and Preeti, you can be students first up.
Okay.
We only have only 1 hour left, so we'll finish this today.
Okay.
क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनकाधयस्ते भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेदिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश. So the last class we saw kind of all the creation had started happening. So finally it ended with Brahma kind of his energy splitting and forming Manu and Shatarupa, right? So the next set of dashakams is going to get into the lineage of all of them. Like I said, everybody, the kind of the next level of hierarchy has happened already in Dashakam 10. So everything we're going to reference now is going to be referencing those people and then what's happening after them, right? So here, what the beings who first came out of Brahma were the 4 Sanaka rishis: Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. So we saw those 4. They are referred to as Sanat Kumaras by general, but there are 4 of them, right? So we said how they, when they eventually came and Brahma was expecting them to do creation, but they said we are not interested in that. Our only desire, they don't have any desires, by the way, but their only intent, only wish, or any desire they have is only to worship Narayana. So they said that's all we want to do. We don't want to be doing anything. And because they are the mind children of Brahma, they have the ability to travel anywhere they want. So they then travel. And then where they end up reaching one day is, we always refer to this Vaikuntham. And I had told you all in the during the formation of the cosmos that there is this Brahmandam, which is the 14 worlds. And then there is a Vaikuntham, which is outside of the Brahmandam, which is kind of like a common Vaikuntham across several Brahmandams. Now, the accessibility for each of them who is inside the Brahmandam is this another small Vaikuntham or a replica of a Vaikuntham inside this Brahmandam. We kind of said this, if you can, because you cannot go to that main Vaikuntham, there's another Vaikuntham which is there. And Vishnu, who resides in that Vaikuntham, is called as the Kshirodaka Shayi Vishnu. So we saw 3 Vishnus. First, we saw Karanodaka Shayi Vishnu, from whom all these Brahmandams came about. Then into each of the Brahmandam, the Garbhodaka Shayi Vishnu is lying at the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean, from whom everything is sprouting. Then inside each of the Brahmandam, there is a Kshirodaka Shayi Vishnu, which is a replica of the Vaikuntha, but is inside the Brahmandam. So it's easily accessible for Brahma and all of these others. So any time we say they went to Vaikuntham, they're going to that particular Vaikuntham, which is inside that Brahmandam. Okay. Anyway, so these 4 rishis, they actually go there. And these rishis, because they don't have any physical body, they can always take any shape or any form they want. But these rishis always remain as the form of small boys. That is how they always travel. They always take the form of 5 or 6-year-old boys. They don't have any clothes or any of that stuff, and they just travel. That's how they always travel. Okay, so Kramena Sarge Parivardhamane, Kadapi Divyaha, put a is to join, Divyas Sanakadayaste, Bhavat Vilokaya Vikuntha Lokam, Prapedire Maruta Mandiresha. क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनकादयस्ते भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेदिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश.
क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनकादयस्ते भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेदिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश. क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनकादयस्ते भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेदिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश.
क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनकादयस्ते भवत् भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेधिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनगादयस्ते भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेदिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश.
That's it. मनोज्ञनैः श्रेयसकाननाद्यैः अनेकवापी मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनोपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वराः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः. So because these rishis, like we said, they have mastery over the Ashtanga yoga. So because they have mastery over the Ashtanga yoga, they have the 8 siddhis also, right? So Ashta Siddhi also they have. So which means that they can become bigger like Hanuman, right? So they can become stronger than the strongest, bigger in shape, and even smallest in shape. So if they have to traverse through this Brahmandam, they actually become extremely lighter than the lightest, and then they can actually traverse through the various regions. Anyway, so they all come to this Vaikuntha. And I think when Preeti was chanting Dashakam 7 today, when that stanza came, Yasmin Nama Chaturbhujaha Harimani Shyama Vadada Tvisho, when Brahma saw Vaikuntham, so it said all the people, all the beings who are in Vaikuntham are the same. There is no separation. So for example, if there is a tree in Vaikuntham versus if there is a person in Vaikuntham, there's no difference between them. There's exactly the same spiritual energy or extension of the Lord. They can take different shapes and forms, but there's no difference between them. You cannot say one is more superior or one is less superior. They all look the same also. They all have Chaturbhujam and all of that stuff, right? So anyway, so when they approach here and they enter through various gates of Vaikuntha. So it says they enter through 6 gates first. Now, these 6 gates, you don't have to necessarily think of it as actual gates which you have to open, right? But think of it as if you have to enter Vaikuntham and you have to meet Bhagavan, then what are the barriers you have to cross, right? So you can't just go and meet, right? So the 6 gates, or 7 gates actually, they first cross 6 gates. The 6 gates are, first is the gate door of Shraddha. So you should have faith, right? If you do not have any faith, then you cannot. Why would you go meet Bhagavan if you don't have faith at all, right? Then you don't have to meet. You will not even get a chance to meet. That's number 1. Second is the door of respect. So you should respect all the beings, right? And understand that in everybody the same Paramatma is there. So to be able to respect everybody, that is the second gate. The third gate is that of Vairagya, which is renouncing of all these material desires and attachments. Because until you renounce all of these things, you are not able to get to the Paramatma inside you or Narayana in Vaikuntham. So that's the third gate. The fourth is the knowledge. So the knowledge here is also knowledge of the Supreme Self. Like we said, the knowledge of realizing that you are no different from the Paramatma and you are just identifying yourself with the body, which is wrong, which is an illusion. So that kind of a knowledge. And then the next is a devotion, so which is bhakti, which is extremely important, right? Which is the 5th gate. And then the 6th gate, which is the cleanliness. And we saw in Ashtanga Yoga also, this cleanliness as in mind cleanliness, right? So not thinking wrong of others or not thinking bad about anything. These are the first 6 gates. Then there's a second gate, which is the prapatti, which is the gate of surrendering, which means completely surrendering yourself to the Lord and knowing that whatever is happening and whatever will is happening to you is the will of the Lord, and you don't want to take anything else which is different. So that level of ultimate surrender is the 7th gate of prapatti. Anyway, here sorry, I think on
ஒரே question. Sorry, what is the 5th one? You said emotion?
Vairagyam, Jnana, Bhakti.
Devotion. Yeah.
Yeah, devotion. Bhakti. So in the 6 gates they cross, right? And that's where we'll so when they cross, we'll stop here for this stanza, right? So Manognya Naishreyasa. So Naishreyasa is the name of the garden which is in Vaikuntham. That's the name of Naishreyasa. So in that word, when you see Manognya Naishreyasa, that's the name of that garden. So Naishreyasa Khananadhyehi. So put a visarga and comma at the end. Khananadhyehi. Next line, the ra that you have becomes a a. Aneka Vapi Mani Mandiraischa Anopamam Tam Bhavato Niketam, comma, Munishwaraha, put a F to join, Munishwarah, Prapuratita Kakshyaha.
So in the first line la manojnya naishreyasah அப்படி வருமா?
Manogya Naishreyasa Kananadhyehi. Because the Naishreyasa is one word. Okay.
இல்ல நைஸ்ரேயசக் வருமா இல்ல நைஸ்ரேயசக் கானநாத் வருமா? அந்த ரெண்டு அந்த கோலன் மாதிரி ஒன்னு கொடுத்துருக்கு எனக்கு. இல்ல ஸ்ரேயசாக்கு அப்புறம் கானனா in between that there's like a colon kind of thing. ஸ்ரேயசக் கானனா அப்படி வருமா?
அந்த வேர்டு வந்து மனோ ஸ்ரேயஸ்
அந்த இடத்துல கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. ஸ்ரேயஸ் இடையில சர்க்கம் வந்து விசர்க்கம்.
I don't know why that is there, but it's two different words. So manogya naishreyasa kananadhyehi. It's just two different words. I don't know why they put that symbol there. So manogya naishreyasa kananadhyehi anekavapi manimandiraischa anopamam tam bhavato niketam munishwarah prapuratita kakshyaah.
मनोज्ञनैश्रेयसकाननाद्यैः अनेकवापि मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनोपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वराः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः. मनोज्ञनैश्रेयसकाननाद्यैः अनेकवापि मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनोपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वराः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः.
मनोज्ञनैश्रेयसकाननाद्यैः अनेकवापि मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनोपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वराः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः. मनोज्ञनैश्रेयसकाननाद्यैः अनेकवापि मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनोपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वराः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः.
Answer 3. Bhavadvidrikshun bhavanam vivikshun dvastau jayastan vijayopyarundham tesham cha chitte padamapakopah sarvam bhavat preranayaiva bhuman. So when they were about to cross the seventh door, which is the door of prapatti or complete surrender, so at that time they encountered two people who were of the same age. They looked exactly the same because of course they are in Vaikuntham, so they all look the same, right? So they all had the chaturbhujam. They all were, the same blue color, dark blue, gray color, and they also had the Shankh, Chakram, Gada, Padmam. They had everything. The only difference, like I said earlier, is they don't have the Srivatsa mark. That's only there for Narayana. Everybody else does not have that because that's where Lakshmi Devi is residing. So these people don't have that, but they look exactly the same. And now these two people who are there, Jaya and Vijaya, they are actually blocking the Sanat Kumaras from crossing the seventh door. So the Sanat Kumaras, and the reason, to some extent as to why they were actually blocked, how they were able to get through the 6 doors, right? They were able to pass through that. The kind of a little bit of side explanation for why it potentially could be is these Sanat Kumaras are like, they completely understand the self-realization. They understand that they are one with the Lord because they are directly from Brahma, and they never die, right? They just come back every kalpa. And they have the supreme knowledge, they have the realization, they have all of that, but they are very focused on jnanam and dhyanam, right? So they are very knowledgeable, they have all of that. One thing which they were slightly missing, even them, was an act of complete surrender, right? Because that is extremely important, right? Which, like I said, is if you feel that this thing is happening because I am doing it, because of my will and because of my action, that means you are not there in the state of complete surrender. right? So that was something which was a little bit missing for the Sanat. Again, you cannot compare them or say any, I mean, they are Sanat Kumar, they have access to the God, right? So when I'm saying it, I'm only saying it relatively to where the expectations are, right? To cross the seventh door, is they were slightly lacking some things, right? So now what happens is here, it said, Padamapa Kopaha, how can they get angry? They cannot get angry, the Sanat Kumaras. The explanation that Bhagavatam gives very beautifully is, he says, the Kama Anuja. He says, yeah, anger is nothing but the younger brother of desire. So if you have a desire, and if the desire doesn't get met, the younger brother anger comes. Now, these Sanat Kumaras don't have any desire, but they had one desire. They had a desire to meet Narayana. That was one desire they had. That's why they came there, right? So because that desire was not met, suddenly they started feeling a little angry about it. Or they were upset about it. I wouldn't, the word used is anger, but essentially what their one desire was to meet Narayana, and that did not happen. So it says they got angry. And here Bhattacharya is clarifying very nicely. Sarvam bhavat prerana evanuna bhuman. He says, Guru Arpa, nothing is going to happen unless you intended for that to happen. So this them getting blocked at the seventh door was an intentional act because it's going to trigger a whole bunch of things later on, right? So nothing is kind of coincidental. It was just intentional. So bhavat didrikshun, so double the coming there. Bhavat didrikshun bhavanam vivikshun, comma, dwastau jayastan bijayopya rundham, that's one word. Tesham cha chitte padamapa kopaha, comma, sarvam bhavat prerana yaiva bhuman. Bhavat nidrikshun bhavanam vivikshun dwastau jayastan vijayopyarundham tesham cha chitte padamapa kopaha sarvam bhavat preranayaiva bhuman.
भवद्रिदुक्षुन् भवनं विवुक्षून् द्वास्थौ जयस्तान् विजयोऽप्यरुन्धाम् तेषां च चित्ते पदमापकोपः सर्वं भवत्प्रेरणयैव भूमन् भवद्दिदृक्षुन् भवनं विविक्षून् द्वास्थौ जयस्तान् विजयोऽप्यरुन्धाम् तेषां च चित्ते पदमापकोपः सर्वं भवत्प्रेरणयैव भूमन्
भवत्थिदृक्षुन् भवनं विविक्षून् द्वास्थौ जयस्तान् विजयोऽप्यरुन्धाम् तेषां च चित्ते पदमापकोपः सर्वं भवत्प्रेरणयैव भूमन् भवत्थिदृक्षुन् भवनं विविक्षुन् द्वास्थौ जयस्थान् विजयोऽप्यरुन्धाम् येषां च चित्ते पदमापकोपः सर्वं भवत्प्रेरणयैव भूमन्. ராஜேஷ், எனக்கு ஒரே ஒரு டவுட். விவிக்ஷூனா க்ஷுன்னா அது?
Vikshun, long. You said it correct only. It's long.
Okay. Thank you.
Stanza 4. Vaikuntha pracheshtau kashtau yuvam daitya gatim bhajetam iti prashaptau bhavadashrayau harismritirnostvitine matustan. So the sages, because they got angry, quote unquote, because their desire was not fulfilled, he says, who are you two who are guarding the final gates of Vaikuntha, which means you're no different than the extensions of the Lord. How can you block us from entering, right? Because if you are in the service of the Lord, you should be able to understand. The number one thing is to understand who the Lord's devotees are. And how can you be living in Vaikuntham and then not recognizing who the devotees of the Lord are? And they kind of say, there's nothing like blocking, because it's not like some random person is coming, right? Because we can't even think of going there. But the sages are saying the fact that we have even come into Vaikuntha means we have developed all that is required to be able to go there. So you cannot just block us at the very thing. We are here to meet with Bhagavan, and this is so like everybody, like most of us are, they always feel the mistake is on the other person. So they felt like we are perfect, and if you are blocking us, That means you are not doing your job as the doorkeepers, right? You are not doing your job. So what they say is you have to be punished because you are not doing your job. You are not fit to be in Vaikuntham because you are not able to see the difference between good and bad, and you still think of things as two different things. So he says the only way you're going to be able to realize this is you're going to go down lower in your consciousness, which is you go down and become like an asura or somebody lower, right? And you become in a lower category of consciousness, because that is when you will realize that, because at that level you will have this kamam, krodham, moham, lust, desire, anger, all of these you'll have. You have to overcome all of that step by step and finally come to realization that everybody is one. So that is the curse that the Sanat Kumaras are giving to Jaya and Vijaya. So at that time, the Jaya Vijaya, they also realized, we made a big mistake, right? We didn't realize who these great people are that, we ended up stopping. So they prostrate. Now, once the Brahmanas say something, it's done. Now, nobody can take anything back. They only have one request. They say, Hari Smritir no Smriti. He said, no matter what your curse for us is, we should not forget Hari. That is the only prayer that these doorkeepers have. So they say, just make sure that maybe always remember Hari, no matter where we are. We don't mind what your curse is. So that's what they are saying. So Vaikuntha Lokan Uchita Pracheshtau, Kashtau Yuvam Daitya Gatim Bhajetam Iti Prashaptau Bhavadashrayau Tau, Hari Smritir Nostviti. So this word is, if you want to write it in English, Nostviti, Nostviti, Nema Tustan. Vaikuntha-lokan-uchita pracheshtau kashtau yuvam daitya gatim bhajetam iti prashaptau bhavadashrayau tau harismritirnostviti matustan.
वैकुण्ठलोकानुचितप्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवां दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवताश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान् वैकुण्ठलोकानुचितप्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवां दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवताश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान्
वैकुण्ठलोकानुचितप्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवां दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवताश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान् वैकुण्ठलोकानुचितप्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवां दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवताश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान्.
Rajeshji, so the Munivars, they are giving Shapam to the Kavalalis, Jaya Vijaya. So the Jaya Vijaya, in turn, they are just saying, may you remember Hari in everything you do.
They're going to go down consciousness, right? So when they say Daitya Gatim is like an Asuras, means you're lower in consciousness. The tamas is very high, right, in the Asuras. So they're saying you're going to go down in your consciousness level, which means you're going to become like Asuras. And that's because, and then you have to grow to come back to that level of high level of consciousness. So they're saying, that's fine, you give us that curse, but maybe always remember Hari. That's what has happened so far. Now we'll see what's going to happen.
Like who is telling that? Maybe remember like the
Jaya and Vijaya.
Jaya
and Vijaya. So they're saying we'll take your curse. We are not going to oppose your curse, but may be like a blessing for us. That maybe not forget Hari at all. At least give us that.
Tangalukkunna I thought it was you. Tangalukku kuduthirukilla. Tangalukkunna I thought like not us, like you Nanche.
Oh, okay. Come on. The Jaya and Vijaya are the ones who are saying that may we not forget Hari. So that's what they are saying. Stands up, right? Tade tadhagnyaya bhavanavaptaha sahaiva lakshmya bahiram bujaksha khageshwaram sarpita charubahuhu Anandayam Sthana Birama Murtya. So after this incident happens, right? I mean, they're still there, but after this conversation has happened, that's when Narayana Vishnu is coming out. So, and he comes out because he knows the Sanat Kumaras are all there waiting to meet with him. So he's coming, and every time he comes, he comes along with Lakshmi Devi, and is coming along with Garuda, and is coming with Chaturbhujam. So the Sanat Kumaras, whose whole purpose was to go there to meet with Narayana, they are extremely happy because they are now seeing Narayana in person, right? What they have imagined in their mind, they are now able to see him in person. Tadetadhagnaya Bhavanavaptaha, Sahaiva Lakshmiya Bahir Ambujaksha. If you want to break it, Bahir Ambujaksha. Ambujaksha means one who's lotus-eyed, lotus petal-eyed. Khageshwaram Sarpita Charu Bahuhu. Put a visarga and comma there. Bahuhu. Next line, the Ra becomes a A. Anandayam Sthan Abhirama. It's easy to break that Na if you want. Anandayam Sthan Abhirama Murtya. Tadetadhagnaya Bhavanavaptaha Sahaiva Lakshmiya Bahiram Bujaksha Khageshwaram Sarpita Charu Bahuhu Anandayam Sthan Abhirama Murtya.
तदेददाज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सार्पितचारुबाहुः आनन्दयं स्थानभिराममूर्त्या तदेददाज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सार्पितचारुबाहुः Anandayam sthana bhiramamurtya.
Lalita, on the third line, first word, Khage, ga sound, Khageshwaram.
Khage, yeah. Khageshwaram sarpita charubahu.
Yeah. And the meaning on the Khaga refers to bird. Ishwara is the king. So Khageshwara is the king of birds, which is referring to Garuda here.
Thank you.
तदेतदाज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सार्पितचारुबाहुः आनन्दयं स्थानभिराममूर्त्या तदेतदाज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सात्वितचारुबाहुः आनन्दयं स्थानभिराममूर्त्या.
That's a fix. Prasadhyagirbestuvato munindran ananyanathavada parshadautau samrambhayogena bhavaistribhirmam upetamityata kripam nyagadihi. So when Supreme Lord Narayana comes, so suddenly these four sages realized what a mistake we did. He says, how can we, such enlightened beings, curse somebody? And they kind of came to their realization that we made a big mistake. So they apologized to Narayana saying, you know what, we should have never done this. And they prayed to him saying, even in the most hellish of conditions, if we come across, maybe not lose our anger and our temper. Right? Because they just cannot, you should, at that level, you should not be, right? They say it's a big mistake, and they kind of, apologize to Narayana. And at the same time, Narayana is also telling that, these, whatever Jaya and Vijaya did, they shouldn't have done, right? So he says, because they are, at the end of the day, extensions of Narayana. So he's saying that whatever they did, I am also equally responsible, right? And they say, he essentially tells that, it was my intention because of which they ended up acting that way, right? But what they did is a mistake. So, and once the sages have said that they have to go down, they have to go down in consciousness, nothing can be done now. It has to happen. But however, he says, the way they can come back to me sooner, because the Jaya Vijaya are already residents of Vaikuntham, right? So they're still so attached to the service of the Lord. He says the way they can come back to me faster is through Samrambha Yogena, which is the yoga. Like I said, yoga is root word is yuj, which means to union with God. So the union through samrambha is through hatred. right? Now the question is, why do they have to be hating somebody to join fast? And you can all look into your individual lives, hatred or fear, however you want to take about this, right? If you love something and if you absolutely desire something, you're still thinking about it when you go to sleep, right? And that might linger on for an hour. If you are afraid of something, whatever that afraid may be, afraid of losing somebody or afraid of something happening to you or afraid of anything, you will have more sleepless nights thinking about some of being afraid of something than actually loving something. And you can just go back and check your own lives. And that's what, because when you're afraid, your body reacts something totally different. You're constantly thinking about it. And that's what is going to happen to them, right? So this Narayana says, through 3 births, they are going to come through Sambrambha Yogam because it's an accelerated way of attaining union with the Lord. Now, does that mean that you should go and start hating the Lord? It might not be in our natural tendency to hate. So it may not be applicable for us. But anybody who you don't like or anything you don't like or hate, you constantly think about it. That you cannot take it away. So he says they're going to take 3 births. One in Satya Yugam, which they'll take birth as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. Then in the Treta Yugam, which they will take birth as Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And then in Dwapara Yugam as Shishupala and Dantavaktra. And then each of them will be liberated by the Lord himself. And once that Shishupala is liberated, then finally they'll come back and merge with the Lord. So they said this is the 3 births that they will have to actually take to go attain the Samrambha Yogam. And we'll see as we go through examples of Shishupala and others, we'll see how much they were thinking about the Lord, including Kamsa, although Kamsa is not part of this, but because he was afraid also, non-stop they used to keep thinking, right? More than people who loved the Lord, right? So, prasadya girbihi, put a is, girbis, stuvato munindran, put a in, comma. Next, the na becomes a. Ananya nathavatha parshadau tau samrambha yogena bhavais tribhirmam, put a im at the end, put a comma, tribhirmam. Next line, the mu becomes a u. Upetam ityata kripam nyagadihi. Prasadhyagirbestuvato munindran ananyanathavatapashadau tau sambrambhayogena bhavaistribhirmam upetamityata kripam nyagadihi.
प्रसाद्य गीर्भिस्तुवतो मुनीन्द्रान् अनन्यनाथावथ पार्षदौ सम्रम्भयोगेन भवैस्त्रिभिर्माम् उपेतमित्यातकृपं न्यगादीः प्रसाद्य गीर्भिस्तुवतो मुनीन्द्रान् अनन्यनाथावथ पार्षदौ सम्रम्भयोगेन भवैस्त्रिभिर्माम् उपेतमित्यातकृपं न्यगादीः
प्रसाद्य गीर्भिस्तुवतो मुनीन्द्रान् अनन्यनाथावथ पार्षदौ तौ सम्ब्रह्मयोगेन भवैस्त्रिभिर्माम् उपेतमित्यातकृपं न्यगादीः प्रसाद्य गीर्भिस्तुवतो मुनीन्द्रान् अनन्यनाथावत पार्षदौ तौ सम्ब्रह्मयोगेन भवैस्त्रिभिर्माम् उपेतमित्यातकृपं न्यगादीः.
7. त्वदीह्यभृत्या बत काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीराबुदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाभिवान्यौ. So now that comes to an end. So now we'll kind of come down, right? When I say come down, we were in Vaikuntham, right? So now we're going to come down to the Swargaloka and other areas where we saw how the Daksha, who was one of the sons of Brahma, who we saw in Dasakam 10, and then Marichi, who was also the son of Brahma. And like I said, when I use the word son, that doesn't mean physical son like how we think of it. It's just somebody who has come from them. Because what we are going to see later on, is there's going to be a lot of these unions which are going to happen amongst this. You shouldn't think of it as marrying within the family and things. That's not the idea there, because they are not physical sons like we think of, right? Anyway, so here, sage Kashyapa, who's the son of Marichi, and Diti, who's the daughter of Daksha. That's a daughter at that point. So they both are married. So now this Diti, Kashyapa, who's sage, who's like, is always in penance, he's always meditating. And this Diti, suddenly one day, she felt like Kashyapa is not spending enough time with her. And, she says that, all of my sisters and everybody else, all of these are Prajapatis, right? So they are supposed to grow the population and then expand the world everywhere. So Diti is saying, they are all having children, they are all having, moving forward, but saying, I am not having that benefit, right? Nothing is happening to me. So she's expressing, concern to Kashyapa. So, and she says that, we have to kind of get together and then have some children. So Kashyapa says, okay, but now is not the right time, because this is the Pradosha Kalam in the evening, when the only thing you should be doing is worshipping Lord Shiva. Nothing else should be done. And then kind of engaging in an act of copulation, at this time is not the right thing to be doing. But somehow something is getting triggered in Diti, and she's like, I cannot wait, right? We have to get together right now. So Kashyapa and Diti then kind of, get together. And after that, Diti suddenly realizes, sometimes you do it and then you realize your mistake. She said, we made a big mistake. We shouldn't have gotten together during the Pradosha Kalam. I'm now very worried, because whatever is going to happen to my womb, right? Because if I'm going to have children, there's going to be a curse from Lord Shiva, because we did this during the Pradosha Kalam. So Kashyapa says, that's not going to happen. But because you went against what is supposed to be done, right? The children who are going to be born to us through this are going to be of extremely bad nature, right? They're going to be like asuras in terms of nature, and that is destined. So we can't do anything about it right now. However, the good news is the Bhagwan himself is going to have an avatar which is going to liberate them. So nothing can be done at this point. So that's what is happening. So, Kashyapa and Diti get together, and two children are going to be born to them. So, Tvadiya Bhrityavata Kashyapatau, Surari Veera Vuditau Ditau Dvau Sandhya Samutpadana Kashta Cheshtau, Yamau Cha Lokasya Yama Vivanyau. So the word Yamau means two meanings here. Yamau could mean twins, which is what the first meaning of Yamau is. And those twins are Lokasya Yama. They were like a Yama, which is the god of death to the world, because they're going to be that bad, right? So that's why the two word Yama is used there. Tvadiya Bhritya Batakashyapatau Surari Veera Vuditau Ditau Dvau Sandhya Samutpadana Kashta Cheshtau Yamau Cha Lokasya Yama Vivanyau.
Rajeshji, sorry, one question, Rajeshji. Kashyapatau, Kashyapatau.
Yeah, the word name is Kashyapa, but then because Kashyapatau is taken up from Kashyapa, so it's Kashyapa.
Thank you.
त्वदीय भृत्या वथ काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरा उदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवान्यौ त्वदीय भृत्या वथ काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरा उदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवान्यौ
त्वदीयभृत्यावथ काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरावुदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवान्यौ त्वदीयभृत्यावथ काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरावुदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवान्यौ.
Stanza 8. Hiranyapurva Kashipoh Kilaikaha Paro Hiranyaksha ite pratitaha Ubhau bhavannathamashesha lokam rusha nyarundham nijavasanandhau. So when Diti is pregnant, generally when women are pregnant, they say there's a lot of tejas which is coming from the women, right? And we're going to see when Devaki gets pregnant in 37th Dashakam, there's going to be so much positive energy coming that Brahma and the Devas will come and visit them in the jail because they're saying that's so much tejas which is coming out of Devaki. Now, in this case, when Diti is getting pregnant, what happens is the amount of negative energy which is coming up, all the gods, demigods, and everybody is beginning to fear. They think something is going to go wrong, right? There's a lot of this darkness and negative energy going on. So they all go to Brahma and say, "What is happening? We fear like something really bad is going to happen." So Brahma says, "Yes, the two beings who are going to come out of Diti are going to torment all of you." But he says, "You can't do anything about it right now. Bhagavan is going to take an incarnation eventually to get rid of them. So, you can't do anything right now." The reason I'm saying that word explicitly is there will come a story later where Indra will actually get into the garbham of somebody to get rid of the child, right? So here they're saying, Brahma is saying, don't do any of those things. Don't impact the womb or anything. Let them be born, right? There's a purpose for what they have to do. Anyway, so that is happening. And then to Kashyapa and Diti are born two children. So the first one is Hiranyaksha. And when I say the first one, it's like they're twins, right? So the one who's conceived first is generally born second. So the one who comes out first is Hiranyaksha. And then the other one is Hiranya Kashipu. So Hiranya Purva Kashipu. It means the one who has a Hiranya word comes before word Kashipu. So anyway, those are the two children who are born, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And then of course, they are born and they had some extraordinary bodily features. Like they were not like normal beings, right? They were very strong and very powerful. And as they became big, they became even more powerful in terms of strength. And then extremely bad characteristics. So they never, it was like like we spoke about, the conscious was a slow, low tamas. That negative energy was so high that all they were doing is going and tormenting everybody around. So Hiranya Purvaha, put the ih sound, Purvah. Kashipuhu, again put the ih to join H. Kashipuh Kilaikaha. Paro Hiranyaksha iti pratitaha. Ubhau Bhavannatam Ashesha Lokam, Rusha Nyarundham Nija Vasanandhau. Hiranyapurvah Kashipuh Kilaikaha Paro Hiranyaksha iti pratitaha. Ubhau Bhavannatam Ashesha Lokam Rusha Nyarundham Nija Vasanandhau.
हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं ऋषानयन्धां निजवासनान्धौ हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं Rishaniyandham nijavasanandhau.
Listen, the last line, Rusha Nyarundham.
Yeah, okay. Rusha Nyarundham nijavasanandhau.
I think you're on mute. She dropped.
No, Preeti.
Preeti.
Mute larka.
Sorry. हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं रुषा नियरुन्धां निजवासनान्तौ हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं रुषा नियरुन्धां निजवासनान्धौ. ராஜேஷ், எனக்கு ஒரே ஒரு டவுட். சோ இப்போ இதுல ஹிரண் அந்த டீமன்ஸ் எல்லாம் they are born, right? So இப்போ directly we will go to the Narasimha Avadaram. Like what happened to the first, second Matsya Kurma Avadaram?
It doesn't actually, like I said, it doesn't go in that sequence actually. That's not the right sequence at all. So we'll see which avataram is going to come first? The first, so the first avataram which comes is that of the Purusha, who is the one who triggered the Prakriti to begin the process of creation, right? So you remember the first we spoke about in Dasakam 5 about that Karanodakashayi Vishnu, who then triggers Prakriti and then forms the Hiranyanda. That's the first avataram actually. Because that's the first, adhik munadi there's nothing, right? So that is the first incarnation of the Purusha to then trigger it, right? And then that avataram has 1A and 1B. The 1A is kind of what triggers the Prakriti to create, and the 1B is where that Purusha, one portion of the energy gets into the Hiranyandam and creates the 14 words, right? That is this 1B avataram of it. Okay. The next avataram that's going to come is actually going to be the Varaha avataram, which is going to help as part of the Hiranyaksha. Okay, we'll see why Matsya is going to come only much later, right, in that sequence. And so there's few more avatars which are going to happen before that Matsya avataram also happens. Okay, there are a few more in between also. So another, I always say that, and even Dushyant Sridhar also says this. You should not compare this with the creation or the sequence. Adalan kadayadu. Because you already have demigods and all these beings are already there. And all these things are there. So while in the earthly plane it grows from a single cell to multi-cell, etc. in Earth, but there are already beings outside of Earth who are driving a lot of these things. Right now, none of this is even happening in the earthly plane, because you will see in Hiranyaksha, and they'll give this more explanation in the next class. Earth is not ready for civilization yet in this Dashakam, right? That's only going to happen later. Okay. So anyway, long answer, but yeah.
Connected. So
no, as we go through it, you'll see the sequence of what is coming and what is going to happen next, right? Okay. That'll come in the 12th Dashakam anyway.
Thanks.
Yeah. Sorry, நம்ம எங்க விட்டோம் இப்போ?
Number 9, yeah.
9th.
Oh, 9 I have to say. Okay. All right. We'll quickly rush through 9 and 10. Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendro Ranaya Dhavananavapta Vairi Bhavat Priyam Kshmam Salile Nimajya Chachara Garvad Vinadan Gadhavan. So these two brothers, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, right? They did enough tapas. And Hiranyakashipu is going to do more tapas. That's going to come only in Dashakam 24. But Hiranyaksha is doing enough tapas to say that they're like invincible, right? That nobody is able to do anything. And they essentially take that as a full approval to go, and then go trouble all these devas. So they essentially go to Varuna, Indra, they go trouble everybody. And finally, Hiranyaksha is like running around in arrogance because there's absolutely nobody to fight with him right now. And I'll explain in the next class what it means when he says the earth is submerged and all that, right? We'll cover in the next class. Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendro, Ranaya Dhavan Nanavapta. So there's 3 nas coming there, 1 in and 2 na. Dhavan Nanavapta Vairi Bhavat Priyam Shmam Salile Nimajya, Chachara Garvat Vinadan Gadavan.
ராஜேஷ்ஜி அங்க தாவன் அனவாப்தன்னு பிரிக்கலாமா?
2 words are dhavan and anavapta. Okay, but when you have in and a, it becomes a double na there.
அல்ல அத பிரிச்சு வாய்க்கலாமா?
Technically, if you pause, you split it. Otherwise, you cannot split it. If you say Rana Yadhavan Anavapta Vairi, apdi, 2 different words, but when you're saying it together, that becomes a na there.
அனவாப்த.
Yeah. So you have to kind of say that in under 2 na. Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendro Ranaya Dhavan Anavapta Vairi Bhavat Priyam Kshmam Salile Nimajya Chachara Garvad Vinadan Gadavan.
Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendro Ranaya Dhavananavapta Vairi Bhavat Priyam Kshmam Salile Nimagya Chachara Garvad Vinadan Gadavan. Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendro Ranaya Dhavananavapta Vairi Bhavat Priyam Kshmam Salile Nimajya Chachara Garvad Vinadan Gadavan.
तयोर्हिरण्याक्ष महासुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वात् विनदन् विकदावान् तयोर्हिरण्याक्ष महासुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वात् विनदन् गतावान्
ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य भभ्राम गवेशयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्यः सकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुधालयेश. So when he goes around, defeating everybody, he finally goes to Varuna also, and then he's fighting. And then Varuna says, look, I'm even capable of fighting with you. You're wasting your time trying to fight because I'm very inferior to you. So what is the use of you winning against me? So then Hiranyaksha is like, who can I fight? So Varuna says, there's only one person who you cannot defeat. He's stronger than you. He says, who is that? He says, it's Narayana who's there, the Supreme Lord. He's the only one who can defeat you, right? And he's stronger than you. So now Hiranyaksha is now, his only goal in life is to go to seek out that Narayana who is stronger than him or supposedly stronger than him, and then go and defeat him. So with that, Hiranyaksha goes around. So he said, Bhaktaika Drishya. He says, oh, Bhattaripat says, Guru Arpa, you are only visible to your devotees, but not quite. Even anybody who goes seeking the Lord will have access. And that's what we'll see through all these Dashakams, as when you go through Krishna Avataram and you see the gopis' relationship with Krishna and everything. There's no one rule of how to, worship or who is most desirable. There's absolutely no, you cannot even compare two different ways or processes, right? So anyway, he goes around searching very desperately. And with that, this Dashakam comes to an end. Oh, Guru Ayappa, please eradicate my ailments. Tato Jaleshat Sadrisham Bhavantam, Nishamya Babhrama Gaveshayams Twam Bhaktaika Drishyaha, put is to join Drishyas Sa Kripanidhe Tvam, Nirundi Rogan Marudala Yesha. Tato Jaleshat Sadrusham Bhavantam Nishamya Babhrama Gaveshayams Twam Bhaktaika Drishyas Sakripanidhe Tvam Nirundi Rogan Marudhalayesha.
ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य बभ्राम गवेशयं स्त्वां भक्तैकदृश्यः सकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुदालयेश ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य बभ्राम गवेशयं स्त्वां भक्तैकदृश्यः सकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुदालयेश
ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य बभ्राम गवेशयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्यसकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुदालयेश.
Preeti, and the third line, Bhaktaika Drishyas Sakripani Tvam.
भक्तैकदृश्यसकृपानिधे त्वं, correct? ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य बभ्राम गवेशयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्यसकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुदालयेश. நான் practice பண்ணிக்கிறேன்.
And you have Drishyaha, right? Visarga there. That becomes a is. Okay. So Bhaktaika Drishyas.
Okay.
Kripanidhe Tvam.
Bhaktaikadrishyas sakruphanidhe tvam.
Exactly. Just leave a brief pause between that is and the sa and they'll land properly. Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. End here today. Sandhanandhava bodhatmakam anupamitam कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.